We've got some great stories to share this week, including these.
Vice President Biden helped VA open the 25th National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic.
VA Women's Veterans close out Women's History Month.
And a look at a training program that helps VA videographers and public affairs officers become better storytellers.
We'll have these stories and more on VA News in just a few seconds, so stay where you are.
Hello, I'm Nick Antonetti with the Office of Quality and Performance.
And I'm Ellen Bosley with Specialty Care Services. Thanks for tuning in. The National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic in Snowmass, Colorado was a big success last week. Vice President Biden and VA Deputy Secretary Scott Gould were there to get the games off to a great start. Both spoke at the opening ceremony and then took to the slopes with the veterans.
This year, 25 years later, the Winter Sports Clinic is still the largest disabled winter sports event in the world. Those of you who have been here before know why. Those of you who are new to the clinic will soon know. There's something here for everyone.
You don't have any idea the inspiration you provide for literally tens of thousands, millions of Americans who feel like they're really down in their luck and are ready to give up, and then they look at you. And they look at you, and you give them new life. You give them new life.
Here's a report from Tony Hardman with VA's National Programs and Special Events staff.
I just want you to know, one of your guys, I'm not a bad skier. I'm blowing down the hill. One of your guys passed me. Said, hey, Mr. Vice President.
Vice President Joe Biden was out on the mountain in Snowmass Village, Colorado, to show his support for veterans with disabilities as they prepared to take their first run down the slopes. The Vice President took a moment to speak about the event with Sandy Trombetta, founder and director of the National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic.
Well, if you invite me, I'll come back next year.
Well, you know, you're welcome any day of the week.
Before going down the mountain, participants received one-on-one instruction about the finer points of adaptive skiing.
The way that we control speed is lots of turns.
Those attending the clinic for the first time showed their excitement as they geared up to carve through the snow.
As much as I'm enjoying, I get a lift watching that, and then you wonder, why you're sitting down. You just go for it, Watching these folks, it's incredible.
Even veterans with limited sight are able to feel the thrill of downhill skiing. In the afternoon, some participants tried the popular Olympic sport of curling.
It's called curling for a reason. The stone curls because it turns.
Curling is a finesse sport where each player has to try to slide his or her stone into the house to score. While this sport may look a little silly, the competition can become fierce. And the Winter Sports Clinic has produced Paralympic curling champions. For the Department of Veterans Affairs, I'm Anthony Hardman.
Women veterans at VA were celebrated in a program at VA Central Office, closing out Women's History Month activities on March 24th. Assistant Secretary for Public and Intergovernmental Affairs, Tammy Duckworth, gave open remarks before a showing of the Her Story video about sacrifices paid by Mrs. Duckworth and other VA women in service to our nation.
Women have been serving this nation since 1775. And I think it's about time we stop being surprised that America's daughters are perfectly capable of doing their jobs and perfectly capable of defending liberty.
Also sharing their experiences in the military were Dr. Terry Walters, a member of the first West Point graduating class with females, and Margot Ellis, a Marine Lioness and member of the VA Congressional Liaison Staff.
Somewhere along the line, in my first couple of years in the military, I grew to love being in the military and serving others. And for me, what solidified it was I was the triage officer in October in Somalia, where all heck broke out, and was literally stuffing gauze into people's gaping wounds while they were bleeding out. And it was the worst of times, but it was the best of times because I had used all my training and I had snatched people back from death's door. Truly the worst of times, but the best of times.
Prior to joining the Marines, I didn't really feel accomplished. about anything. And I really wasn't sure what it was that I could possibly do in life that would make me feel accomplished or fulfilled. I mean, like everybody, I wanted to accomplish something great, but how do we define that? How do we define greatness? And serving next to Marines day in and day out for 10 years taught me what greatness is. Even today, the Marines who I meet continue to teach me what greatness is.
Hosted by the VA Central Office chapter of the Federal Women's Program and the Center for Women's Veterans, the event also included a slideshow of photos of VA women employees who are veterans throughout the country and a group photo of women veteran employees attending the program.
Today, our visual landscape is bombarded with images, stills, moving, color, black and white, with and without sound or text. Whether through traditional broadcasts and cable networks or the new social media channels, all are designed to get our attention and tell a story. VA's public affairs and media specialists compete daily to break through the relentless barrage to get important messages about veterans' benefits and services to our newest and oldest warriors.
VA's Office of Public Affairs, in concert with the VA Learning University, recently sent 24 videographers and 15 public affairs officers to the National Press Photographers Association News Video Workshop in Norman, Oklahoma, to enhance their storytelling skills. One of the VA videographers at the workshop, Art Gardner, has our report.
The location is marked by smoke.
The National Press Photographers Association held its first news video workshop in 1960 to assist military videographers with visual storytelling. This year, Department of Veterans Affairs staff, along with producers and visual journalists from around the world, came to hone their skills and to learn from some of the very best in the business.
It's 24 frames per second.
They're intentional about, are they on a tripod or are they handheld?
My job was to make order out of confusion, and this is what the things I did.
I was a total failure here when I was a student. You know, I didn't shoot anything worth a damn when I was here, you know, but I learned some things out of here that helped me in my career.
We don't believe in gimmicks. We don't believe in a lot of fancy effects and a lot of shaky camera and a lot of things that distract from a story.
I've known people that have done terribly here as far as shooting, that after this have taken what they learned and done very well in the profession. I'm one of them.
Action. Like many in attendance, Stefan Green learned to see the forest through the trees. During 15-hour days, shooters used local stores as backdrops, editing their footage down to 1-minute visual stories without sound. They took their lumps from critiques along the way.
If you want me to know about homeopathic medicines, then, you know, for the love of the creator, you just can't hope that one thing proves it.
Okay, good news is it's much better. And you got a story in there somewhere. We'll see how you edit it. You as the editor could help the shooter out to hide some problems or to highlight some problems. So let's see how you do it.
We just want people to tell good stories. We want the standard to be remaining high, and video, whether you're in the military, whether you're in television news, whether you're doing moving pictures and sound for print, for the web. We just want the standard of good quality storytelling to last.
I think it went pretty good. We had a good sequence, and the actors were good, and I just appreciate the people letting us do this. You know, it's a good experience, so I think it went well.
The April edition of The American Veterans is now airing. Here is host Jim Benson to tell us what's in the show's lineup this month. Give us the rundown, Jim.
On this month's edition of The American Veteran, we take a look at giving VA caregivers an appreciation for the experiences of combat veterans, making every second count when treating a heart attack victim, how man's best friend is transforming the lives of veterans, a university that's giving veterans the support needed for academic success, and using the latest in technology to diagnose PTSD. We'll have that and a lot more. Hope to see you then.
Thanks, Jim. The American Veteran can be found on the VA homepage, www.va.gov. Just click on Media Room, then Video. You can also watch it on VA's Knowledge Network, the Content Distribution Network, and the Pentagon Channel.
Did you know VA and the American Federation of Government Employees have not had a new collective bargaining agreement since approving one in 1997? It took more than 7 years of negotiations, but last week, leaders of VA and the AFGE held a ceremony to sign only the third agreement in VA history.
For AFGE's part, this contract is a strong vehicle to really forge a new labor relations, one that is committed to good government. And this contract to us will be a morale builder for our VA employees. We have tremendous work in the VA, 2 wars. We have to serve more people coming back injured. We have to get their benefits right. And I think a good contract behind our workers gives them that inspiration and incentive to do a good job.
VA is the second largest federal government agency with more than 300,000 employees and has had a productive 28-year relationship with the AFGE, the largest federal employee union. AFGE represents more than 200,000 of VA's 240,000 bargaining unit employees.
I look forward to the same level of dedication and effort as we work together to successfully implement the provisions of this new agreement, always keeping the needs of veterans we serve foremost in our priorities. But this is the beginning, as John mentioned, and really the good and important work is before us to take this terrific agreement and bring it to life. My promise to you is that VA managers will be trained and expected to meet both the spirit and intent of this agreement.
That's it for this week's VA News. I'm Nick Antonetti.
I'm Ellen Bosley. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day and rest of the week, everyone.